Hello and welcome back, module number 3B. And in this segment, I'm going to talk about JavaScript, introduction to JavaScript. I will base my discussion based on our textbook. As you can see, you can go over each chapter, just read it carefully. I think it is well-written book, and I think you will understand where I'm coming from and how I'm trying to convey the idea of JavaScript and the idea of programming in JavaScript. So let's begin. I'm going to talk about variables, and I'm going to talk about conditional statement. And uh, both ideas is part of any programming language. I will try to highlight that how JavaScript sometimes is missing. It's not a sophisticated programming language, but it's a really straightforward language that if you understand the concept, you will probably do very well. So variables. In JavaScript, the variables contain some storing data values. For example, X, Y, and Z are example of variables. They can hold different values. Example, 5 and 6. So variable X is equal 5, variable Y is equal 6. If we will set it up in HTML under JavaScript, we will do the following outline. Example, this is example of the variable X and Y, and I'm going to call the entire set, as I highlight in red, the script. So I declare, first of all, the variable X is equal 5, the variable Y is equal 6, and now I am going to tell the browser that a document.get has an element that is called the demo, which is up inside the PID demo, and it will ask the enter HTML X plus Y. So basically what I'm doing, I'm building up a cover up saying that this is a demo that will hold inside X and Y, and it will provide me the result. So the JavaScript variables are part of the paragraph, close paragraph tags that is in HTML. So in this case, it will be equal 11. So JavaScript identifiers. All JavaScript variables must have a unique names. Those are called identifiers. So identifiers can be short of names such as X and Y, or more descriptive names such as age, sum, or total value. The general rule of constructing names for variables are names that contain letters, digits or underscore or dollar sign, names that must be written with a letter, or names that will begin with dollar sign or underscore, and names with case sensitive. All of that as part of your terminology, how you're going to phrase your variables or identifier in your script in order for it to work. So the assignment operator, in this case the sign equal is equal, is the assignment. It is not equal to as we are think of in that context, but it has different meanings. Example, in algebra, we are saying that the following does not make any sense in algebra. X equal X plus 5 is not equal. So in JavaScript, it makes perfect sense, which means that it is assign a value of X plus 5 to the X, which means some of you will say, wait, what's going on here? But it calculates the value of X plus 5 and it puts the result into the X. So basically it is operating that allowed us to add the variables and to assign the value based on x plus 5. JavaScript also have different data types, and it holds numbers like 100 or text values like the personal name, Alon Friedman or John Joe. So in programming, text values are called string. In JavaScript, it can handle many types of data, but for now, just think about numbers and string in that context. I will go over it later on when we will move to PHP. So the strings are written inside double or single quotes. Numbers are written without quotes. So if you put around a number, it will treat it as a text string. So example, variable pi equal 3.4 and variable person is the person name, and the answer, yes I am. So in this case, I will show you that what I'm doing here with regard to the JavaScript, I'm again identify the demo. The PID is demo, and then the script action start. So the pi, the variable pi is equal 3.4. The variable person has the name of the person, and the variable answer has the variable answer. In this case, I will allow the document get element demo into the person. So in this case, it will highlight only the person in this case, and the strings are written with the quotes, so the number are written without the quotes. So just play with the script. I'm sharing my PowerPoint so you can be able to play with it, and you don't need to upload it to your website, but you can play with it in your own desktop by saving the file and be able to see that. So creating a JavaScript variable. This is really important because this is where the container, later on we will talk about the PHP as a container that holds this data that take it to the database. But for now, we're going to talk about creating the variables. So you declare a JavaScript variable with var, for example, var car name. So you will create this variable. After the declaration, the variable is empty because it has no value. So in this case, yes, you might create a car name, but you do not have assigned to it any actual value. So in this case, I'm going to assign car name and my favorite type of car, Volvo. So in this case, he will recognize that there is a value into it. So in this case, again, I want you to look at how I set it up and how I got it. So in this case, variable car name, I declare what it is entail. And I said the car document, and I want you to display for me the variable car name. I will not say Volvo, I will say the container that holds the car name. The result, it will display the Volvo. So this is the idea of JavaScript, and that's why it's considered to be not very sophisticated programming language, but it functions well in our environment. Next, one statement, many variables. We can hold many variables under one statement, and we are going to use comma as the separation the variables. For example, first name, car name, and the price. And by doing that, if I will say variable person and I will say car name and the price, those will be our variables. In this case, I call for 3 variables, but in this case, I'm going to call only the car name in the end. The inter HTML equal the car name, and it will display only the Volvo. I can display the car name, the person, the variable person, or the price, but in this case I chose the car name in order for me to present it. So again, the idea of use the variable that it will not lose its value, and the idea here is again how we apply and how we embedded that in order for us to do that. And the result is, again, you will not lose its value when you add more value or calculate other things. One of the things that JavaScript do very well is algorithm, and with that is that ability to add numbers. And when you purchase in Amazon more than one items, this is a simple JavaScript that does this calculation. So the variable x can be equal to 3 plus 2 plus 3, and it will give me the result. Here is my script to it, and this is the idea of how it will present itself. I can assign value to variables and add them together. So again, I can use variable x, I can use variable y, I can use variable z, and I can say z is equal x plus y. So again, I'm adding the structure in order for me to add things up, in order for me to calculate. So how would I apply that into the JavaScript? Again, 3 variables, I declare them. I want to see the result of variable z, and in this case, this is what it will show. So basic operation, adding and division or increment or discriminate. Those are the functions that often used in JavaScript in order for us to count, in order for us to measure what it is entail. Let's do the same example with different operator. We are going to do multiply. So x multiplied by y, and again, this is the idea of how it will operate. Also, percentage, and I can do that quite easily. And again, this is how it do that. Increment is plus plus. So increment value is a fixed amount. And by doing that, I will declare what is my variable, what is the plus plus stand for, and how I apply that. And in this case, that what it operates. So discriminate, again, the same operation, but with minus minus, and again the same operating and the result of it. We need to talk about, and the textbook talks about, assigning operator. So we have x equal, which is x equal to y, and plus equal, so it is x plus equal y. So in this case, again, in JavaScript, it's legit to apply that because it will ask x plus y, and it will add the numbers to x, minus equal, in this case, y minus x minus y, and it will give us x. And in this case, you see how the operator works in order for it to calculate. So the next things that we need to talk about is a string. And the idea of the string is that it embedded or hold text. So in this case, plus operator can be used to add string to it. And we can use the string and the operator plus in order for us to add that. So text 1 is what's a very, text 2 is very a nice day, and we can add text 3 equal text 1 plus text 2, and the result will be what a very nice day. Again, this is a simple operating that we can add to it in order for us to make the idea of it. So how would it will work? I need to, again, remind me of the layout of the HTML in order for us to embed the JavaScript. So the PID is the demo, which is the main component, and I need to declare my variables, and I need to ask what operating I want to add. I'm adding the text1 plus text2 in order for us to do that. So this is the idea of the variables, and again, I showed you in two different contexts, one with numbers and the other one with text, and we often use that, and we saw two types, string and numbers, and this is the idea behind what we are going to do. But we need to move a little bit further, and we need to add some more sophistication by using the if condition. I'm sure that most of you already took some logic classes that the if condition played the way for us to make a statement or to prove the statement true or false. So the idea here is that conditional statement has different logical structure. If statement, if else statement, else if statement, if and if else, and switch statement. In if condition statement, it is the main condition statement in JavaScript. So the word if always appears in a lower case. So the condition has a logical true or false value. So the condition is true, the statement are execute. Example, I'm leaving the variable empty, and I will say that if A and B, and I will say that if one is true and one is false, it will operate in that case. It will allow us to operate the if condition. If else is a statement that else causes in the if condition when you want to execute some statement if the condition is false. So in this case, I will add more value to it, or more numerical numbers into it. 3 is bigger than 2. So if it is true, it will alert me. If it will be false, it will also alert me. And so the idea here is 3 is smaller than 2, alert true or alert false, and in this case, this is what is the execution. And if else if, again, the same condition. We are testing the condition, we are testing else if, and we are stating else statement. So you allowed us yourself to execute or to test multiple expression from one true value and execute a particular block of codes. So in this case, this is how we I apply that, and this is what it consists of. The switch condition allowed us to have an expression, and we are trying to label a case, label 1, and the statement break and the default statement. So it allowed us to merge several tests on the same variable into a single block of statement. So in this case, I'm breaking, and I'm trying to achieve that by the following cases: case A, case E, and the default if it's wrong. Another way for us to use the if condition is using loop until it will be proving true or false. So the for loop, I will show you the for loop, I will show you for in loops, while loops, do, will, and break and continue. So in this case, one of the most used and familiar loops is is for the loop. This is a good statement that I made. So it actually have a sequence of a statement that a number of time controlled by condition. So the idea here is that internal expression, we are testing the condition and we change the expression and we state the statement. And by doing that, we can have the input. And let's take an example. So the variable counter, for the counter equal 1, the counter is smaller than 10. So the counter is plus plus. Now I am going to write the document write statement in order for me to calculate that. So the counter is multiplied by a counter plus the quotation in order for me to operate. So this is the simple way for me to show sequence of numbers where the numbers is between 1 and 10, and this is the output. For in statement is the idea that the counter and the termination are determined by the length of the object. And so the statement begins with 0 as the value that the counter variable, and determines all the properties of the object to be evaluate. That's another word. And so in this case, no more elements will be found. So in this case, we are going to look at variable book. What if the difference if variable book inside look like? So the variable book list is new array. It can be Chinese, it can be English, or it can be Japanese. And so for the counter in the bookshelf or the book list is the book plus equal book lists counter plus, and I'm leaving it open. So it will run what type of Chinese, English, and Japanese. So undefined Japanese, English, and Jap. So in this case, this is something that we will encounter when we are trying to achieve too much out of lack of definition to the variable that we are trying to test. And one of the questions that you probably ask yourself, wait, you are trying to test statement without giving them variables. And so this is true, and you will counter that in our textbook, how we approach that and how we declare that. I need to finish up the while statement, and the while statement is a condition. A statement, increment or decrementate statement, and the while loop begins with a termination condition and keep looping until the termination condition is met. So the idea here is that if I will say, if the variable counter equal 100, which is the definition, or give it a data into it, and the variable number list, I'm going to leave it open, and I'm going to say while counter is smaller than 0, the number list plus equal the number plus the counter plus BR plus the counter minus equals 0. What I did here, I added numbers and I display it, and I added the BR, which I hope you remember from the HTML, it's a break line. And so the idea here is that it will be displayed from 100 to 10 in order for it to show, and this is how I will apply it in order for me to do that. Do while statement is a statement counter, again, increment or discriminate, and with the idea that while treatment condition, the do while loop always executes statement in the loop in the first loop, and by doing that, it will place it at the top of the loop. So that's all. This is the short summary that I highlight. You're going to read the link that I gave you on chapter 2 and chapters, sorry, my mistake here, chapters 2 and 3, and you're going to assign your first variable using JavaScript, and the second assignment is from our first video where I talked about template like using framework, frame set, or casting style in order for you to provide more detail to the design itself. So that's it for now. I know this is where we are going to start talking about code. We're going to talk about the visual aspect. I know it's going to be hard and it's going to be overwhelming, but I hope you enjoy that. So until next time, I hope you enjoy it, and happy holiday this week, and I will see you next week.